The Bodyguard is a 1992 American romantic thriller film directed by Mick Jackson, written by Lawrence Kasdan, and starring Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston, in her acting debut, Gary Kemp, Bill Cobbs and Ralph Waite. The film follows a former United States Secret Service agent turned bodyguard who is hired to protect a famous actress and singer from an unknown stalker. Kasdan wrote the film in the mid-1970s, originally as a vehicle for Steve McQueen and Diana Ross. The Bodyguard was theatrically released by Warner Bros. Pictures on November 25, 1992. The film grossed $411 million worldwide, becoming the second highest grossing film of 1992 behind Aladdin, and at the time of its release the 10th highest grossing film of all time. However, the film was generally panned by critics who criticized its screenplay and performances of the lead actors. The film's accompanying soundtrack by Houston became the best-selling soundtrack album of all time, with sales of over 45 million copies worldwide, and won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, while the singles I Have Nothing and Run to You received nominations for the Academy Award for Best Original Song. The film received 7 nominations at the 13th Golden Raspberry Awards, including for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, for Costner, and Worst Actress, for Houston. Did you know? It was Kevin Costner's idea for Whitney Houston to start I Will Always Love You a cappella. Whitney Houston would give Kevin Costner singing lessons on set in exchange for acting advice. Dolly Parton wrote and sang the song I Will Always Love You. In an interview on The Graham Norton Show, she said that when they asked to use the song for the movie, she sent it in and forgot about it. Then one day she was driving from her office to her house in Nashville when she heard Whitney Houston's version on the radio. She had to pull over to the side of the road in order to finish listening to it because she was blown away by how beautifully the song was done and by how beautifully Whitney Houston sang it. As of 2015, with over 37 million albums sold, the film had the best-selling soundtrack of all time. Saturday Night Fever, 1977, places second, with nearly 10 million fewer albums sold. Kevin Costner revealed in 2019, almost 27 years after the release of Osobni Strasse, 1992, that the woman he is carrying on the movie poster wasn't Whitney Houston, but her double. Whitney had left the set to have some rest, so Kevin Costner decided to shoot the picture with her double. He only told her to keep her face hidden, so she could show the fear that the character was experiencing. Costner himself picked the definitive photo that was later used in the movie poster. Storyline warning spoiler. Rachel Marin is an Academy Award-nominated actress and music superstar who is being sent death threats by a stalker. After a bomb explodes in her dressing room, her manager Bill Devaney seeks out professional bodyguard Frank Farmer, a former Secret Service agent who served on the Carter and Reagan presidential details, to protect her. Frank reluctantly accepts Devaney's offer, but he feels Rachel is a spoiled diva who is oblivious to the threats against her life. Rachel soon accuses Frank of being paranoid, complaining that his extensive protection techniques are intrusive. However, Frank and Rachel grow closer when he rescues her from danger after a riot erupts at one of her concerts. Her existing bodyguard, Tony, resents Frank's presence, leading to a brawl between the two in Rachel's kitchen. Though Frank tries to remain professional, he and Rachel sleep together. He breaks off the affair the next day, realizing it compromises his ability to protect her. Hurt, Rachel begins to defy Frank's security measures. Then, to make Frank jealous, Rachel flirts with his former Secret Service colleague, Greg Portman, whom she meets at a Miami party. When her stalker places a threatening phone call, Rachel finally recognizes the seriousness of the situation and her need to trust Frank completely. Frank, Rachel, her son Fletcher, her older sister Nikki, and her driver, Henry, then travel to a large lakefront cabin in the mountains, the home of Frank's father, Herb. The next day, Frank rescues Fletcher from a small motorboat just before it blows up. After Frank secures the house for the night, a drunk Nikki, upset that Fletcher could have died, admits to Frank that she hired a hitman to kill Rachel during a fit of jealousy, but that the letters from the stalker came before that. She has paid in full and does not know the killer's identity. Abruptly, the hitman breaks into the dark house and fatally shoots Nikki. Frank pursues the killer into the woods. He shoots at the assailant, misses, and the assailant escapes. Frank learns that the stalker had been apprehended earlier that day and was in custody when Nikki was killed. A few days after Nikki's funeral is the Academy Awards ceremony, where Frank gives Rachel a panic button in the shape of a cross to immediately alert him to any trouble. Despite this, a plethora of backstage technical issues hamper Frank's efforts to monitor the proceedings closely. While presenting an award, Rachel freezes and runs offstage, angry at Frank for embarrassing her with overprotective measures. Later, Rachel is announced as the winner for Best Actress, but as she comes on stage to accept the award, Portman is revealed to be the hitman, masquerading as the bodyguard for the ceremony's host. Frank notices Portman pointing a gun disguised as a camera at Rachel. As Portman prepares for the fatal shot, Frank runs onstage and leaps in front of Rachel, taking the bullet meant for her and setting off chaos amongst the audience. Immediately regaining his balance, Frank shoots and kills Portman while the gun is aimed at Rachel. Frank is left wounded and Rachel calls for help, all the while urging him to stay with her as he slowly passes out. Frank recovers from the shooting and bids farewell to Rachel at the airport, both knowing their relationship would never work out. After the plane starts to take off, Rachel suddenly orders the plane to stop, jumps out and runs to Frank for one last passionate kiss. Some time later Rachel performs "I Will Always Love You" on a stage, while elsewhere Frank is keeping a vigilant eye on his next assignment, while a priest is seen holding a cross similar to the one he gave Rachel. See you later.